Hello again. In my experience with online teaching, one of the most dynamic, powerful ways to engage students in the learning process is through the use of discussions in an online format. So in this podcast, I'd like to share with you the approach that I use when it comes to discussions. So let me take you to the discussion area of one of the courses that I'm currently teaching. In this particular course, we are in week 2, and I've set up the topic for that week, just calling it discussions for week 2. When we go into that area, you will see that there are several threads that a discussion leader has actually started. I began the prompt for the week because the discussion leader didn't know that they were the discussion leader until fairly late in the game, partly because of the way the course was set up. So I started a prompt, and it's right here, and it starts, once we started that, students replied to that in the thread. So you can see numerous replies to that particular prompt throughout the first few days of the second week. And this is really what you want to have happen, where you want to set up a topic, call it a thread, and have students engage in that. I actually have students complete a rubric at the end of the week so that they know what the expectation for the discussion was during the week. I also utilize discussion leaders, as I mentioned a few moments ago. So I assign students to be discussion leaders. It's their responsibility to post the prompts for each week. I need to set that up ahead of time. I need to give the students some guidance in terms of what a good question looks like, what a poor question looks like, and all of that is spelled out in documents that I currently have on the course that students can access. So, for example, here's the discussion rubric, and you will have access to these on the video and resources page. But for example, I ask whether the students responded at least once to the questions or issues raised by the discussion leader. Did they post 2 meaningful and constructive responses to other people's messages throughout the week? I ask them to be in the discussion fairly early in the week. In my courses, the weeks run from Monday morning to Sunday night, so I'm expecting that they log in by at least Wednesday and begin to participate. I'm asking if they've made connections between the discussions and what's going on in their professional settings. And then I always end each discussion rubric with what I call a muddiest point, something that they don't understand. Then they are allowed and encouraged to ask me questions in that muddiest point. In this particular case, I also have an additional assignment that students are working on throughout the duration of the course, and so I'm asking them to reflect on that assignment. Each of those components then is worth a certain number of points, and in this particular case, the discussion rubric is worth 50 points. Let me show you what the discussion leader rubric looks like, because that's just a little bit different. And in that particular case, I'm asking that they post their prompts early in the week, usually by Tuesday. Monday would be more ideal, but I'd like their prompts to begin by Tuesday. Then, as a discussion leader, did they respond to other posts that were in there? Did they add additional posts as the week was going on? Do they need to kind of do the facilitation piece, redirect a little bit? And then the final piece that I asked them to do is to summarize the entire week's discussion in a paragraph or two, and then post that in the next week's discussion. That's a great way to bring closure to the discussion, but it also keeps the discussion in the forefront of people's minds because it's the first prompt in the next week's discussion area. When the students read the discussion leader guidelines, they see that there are some hints as to how to post those prompts, how to write the prompts. So they're encouraged to read the assigned readings ahead of time, to generate those discussion prompts based on the readings. I provided examples of what a good prompt looks like and what a poor prompt looks like. and then encouraging them to post no more than 3 prompts throughout the week, because if they have good prompts, those will continue the discussion throughout the entire week. They're encouraged to check back and to monitor often. They are certainly encouraged to add more prompts if they need to do that. And then finally, they do the summary at the end of the week. As an instructor in an online course, I've taken the position that I do not participate in discussion. I know the research kind of comes down on both sides of that. I've chosen to go ahead and go with the idea that I don't need to participate in the discussion. If the learners are generating their own learning, then I don't need to be there. One of the things that I find is that if I get into a discussion and post something, the discussion seems to stop because everyone thinks that I've said the definitive, word on that particular topic. And so I don't want to squelch or hinder that discussion. One of the things I do, though, is encourage students to invite me into their discussion. If they want my opinion, if they want to know my thoughts about the particular topic that's being discussed, they can just drop me a message, and I'm glad to join the discussion. I think that that puts the onus of responsibility of learning on the students, and I've engaged in some great discussions with students, but it's been at their request as opposed to me dictating how that's going to occur. I have colleagues who do just the opposite of that. They're in every discussion every week, and they find success with that. So I don't think that there's a right or wrong approach to this, but the approach that I've chosen works well for me. Feel free to take a look at the resource page. If you have questions about this, please let me know. But again, I'm just so convinced that the discussion is such a key point of online learning that you need to spend time, figure out the best way to make it work for you, and then expect your students to participate in discussions. Thank you.